Have you ever wondered if everything you've been taught about fear is wrong? What if facing your fear isn't the answer but the problem itself? From childhood, we're told to be brave, to conquer fear, to push through. But what if this mindset is exactly what keeps you trapped? Carl Jung, one of the most influential minds of the 20th century, offered a radically different view, one that could change your relationship with fear forever. To Jung, fear wasn't something to be destroyed. It was a messenger, a signal from your unconscious, pointing to parts of yourself you've buried, rejected, or refused to see. And that signal, it's not just important, it's essential. Because when you try to defeat fear through brute force, you're not solving it. You're silencing the very part of you that's asking to be heard. And until you listen, fear will continue to control your life from the shadows. But here's the truth no one talks about. Inside your fear lies the key to your deepest freedom. Not through strength, not through willpower, but through awareness. So if you think you already know how to master fear, pause for a moment and prepare to be challenged, because what you're about to discover might undo everything you thought you understood about yourself. Let's begin with a question. What fear haunts you the most right now? Think about it. Take a moment. And if you're willing, share it in the comments, because that simple act of expression might just be the first step in transforming your relationship with fire and with yourself. Fear is not just an emotion. It's a signal, a coded message from the depths of your unconscious. And every time you avoid it, deny it, or try to suppress it, you're rejecting a vital part of your inner self. Jung didn't see fear as the enemy. He saw it as the doorway, an invitation to explore what's been hiding beneath the surface. Not to conquer, but to understand. Not to push through, but to walk with it with presence. Think about the phrase you've heard 1,000 times. Face your fears. It sounds brave, empowering, even. But ask yourself, has it really worked? How often does fear return, stronger than before, just when you thought you had already overcome it? That's because most of us have been trained to approach fear with the wrong tools. Society rewards control, confidence, invincibility, vulnerability, doubt, and inner exploration. Those are seen as weaknesses, but Jung knew better. Fear is not a wall, it's a compass. It points directly to the areas within us that are begging to be seen. These are the parts we've pushed away: our shame, our guilt, our wounds, our rejected truths. They hide in the dark, but they are not enemies. They are fragments of our wholeness waiting to return. This is where the paradox begins. Fear often protects us from the very truths that could heal us. It guards the gates of the shadow, the side of you where you've hidden everything unacceptable, embarrassing, or unworthy. But here's the twist. Only by facing that shadow can we ever become whole. Jung called this process individuation, a lifelong journey of becoming who you truly are. It's not about defeating fear, it's about decoding its message. Because what frightens you most often holds the wisdom you need most. The greatest irony is that fear doesn't block your growth, it reveals where growth must happen. And yet, we run from it. Every time we retreat from fear, we not just avoiding discomfort, we denying a part of ourselves that longs to be integrated. Jung believed that the psyche isn't a single, unified entity. It's a complex system made up of conscious and unconscious parts. The ego, the shadow, the anima, and animus, the self, and beyond. When fear shows up, it often speaks from the unconscious. It may be an old wound resurfacing, a part of your identity you've neglected, or even a generational echo passed down silently through your lineage. And here's why most self-help methods fail. You can conquer what you refuse to understand. You can't silence what you're not willing to hear. Fear is not a problem to be fixed, it's a message to be On the surface, fear can look obvious: fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of rejection. But beneath each of those lies something far more profound. That's why Jung described the visible fear as just the tip of the iceberg. Let's say someone is afraid of public speaking. They believe it's about stage fright, about being in front of people. But more often than not, the true fear lies deeper. Maybe it's the fear of being judged, of being seen, of not being good enough. Maybe it's a memory buried in childhood, a moment of humiliation or criticism that never truly healed. And so, fear becomes a guard dog, barking not because it's dangerous but because it's trying to protect something sacred. That sacred thing, the wounded self. To truly understand fear, we must enter the shadow. Jung described the shadow as the unconscious part of ourselves that holds everything we've dissonant qualities we've rejected, denied, or judged as unworthy. And it's here, in this dark psychic basement, that fear finds its deepest roots. Imagine someone who constantly strives to appear strong, emotionally impenetrable. They may seem confident, composed, but often they're hiding a deep fear of vulnerability. And that fear isn't about weakness itself, it's about the inner child that once reached for connection and was met with rejection or shame. The shadow holds that pain, and the more we deny these hidden truths, the louder our fear becomes. It grows not to punish us, but to signal that we've lost contact with something essential inside. Jung warned us. Society teaches us to suppress what is We're told to stay positive, stay strong, stay productive. But what happens to the fear we ignore? It doesn't disappear. It sinks into the unconscious, where it festers and evolves into anxiety, paralysis, even illness. Jung saw these symptoms not as failures of willpower but as cries for integration. And beyond the personal shadow lies something even deeper, the collective unconscious. According to Jung, the collective unconscious is a vast reservoir of inherited patterns and symbols, archetypes that live in all of us, regardless of culture or time. These archetypes include the hero, the shadow, the wise old man, the mother, the anima. Each of these is tied to powerful emotional currents and, yes, to fear. Take the archetype of the hero. At first glance, the hero appears fearless. But Jung knew that every hero's journey begins in fear, descending into the unknown, facing monsters, confronting death, not just physical death, but symbolic death, death of old identities, illusions, and patterns. And the monsters, they're not real, they're psychological. They are symbols of the fear we carry. Fear of failure, fear of not being enough, fear of seeing who we really are. So, what is the shadow then, in collective terms? It's what society denies. It's what we've buried, cultural taboos, truths too painful to face, wounds inherited over generations. The fear of death, the fear of rejection, the fear of losing control. These are not your fears alone. They're human fears, ancient fears. And once you understand that your fear is not just personal but archetypal, it no longer isolates you. It connects you to the entire human experience. There's a reason every myth across time speaks of a dragon. In legends, the hero must face a terrifying beast. But Jung taught us, the dragon is symbolic. It's not just a fearsome obstacle, it is fear itself. It's the shadow. And the journey to face it isn't external. It's within. Each one of us carries this archetype. And the dragon we fear guards something we need: a treasure, a truth, a piece of our wholeness. To slay the dragon doesn't mean to kill it. It means to integrate it, to claim what it protects, to reclaim a part of yourself. Jung said that fear often appears when transformation is near. The discomfort you feel before a major life decision, changing career, leaving a relationship, moving into the unknown. That's not random. It's your unconscious signaling that you're on the edge of something meaningful. Take the idea of the midlife crisis. It's not about a giti, it's about awakening. Suddenly, old roles no longer satisfy. Success feels empty. A strange fear creeps in. Have I lived authentically? Am I becoming who I'm meant to be? Jung saw this not as dysfunction, but as initiation, a sacred moment when the soul begins to call out from beneath the surface. In these moments, fear is not a wall, it's a threshold. You're being invited inward to confront what you've postponed for years. This is the beginning of not becoming perfect, becoming whole, becoming real. But most of modern culture resists this process. We want 5-step formulas to crush fear. We want instant fixes, motivational mantras, pills for anxiety. But none of this goes deep enough, because fear isn't an error in your system. It's a message encoded with meaning. Let's bring these ideas down from theory and into real life. Take Mariana, a respected professional, admired by many. On the surface, she had it all: career success, recognition, confidence. But when asked to lead big presentations, she froze. Her heart raced. Her voice trembled. She'd tell herself, I just hate being the center of attention. But in Jungian therapy, a deeper truth emerged. Mariana wasn't afraid of public speaking. She was afraid of being seen as imperfect. From childhood, she'd been punished for mistakes. Praise came only with perfection, so she buried her flaws deep in her shadow. But those repressed parts didn't disappear. They whispered through her fear. The moment she faced visibility, they screamed, what if they see the real you? Once Mariana stopped running from that fire and turned to meet it with compassion, something shifted. She began to understand that perfection wasn't the goal. Wholeness was. Her fear had never been the enemy. it was the invitation. Now, take Raphael, an artist, talented, but he hadn't created anything in years. He blamed it on lack of inspiration. But the truth, he was terrified of judgment, not from others, from himself. Within his shadow was a ruthless inner critic, a voice from the past, always whispering, "You're not good enough." Raphael had projected that voice onto the world. Every blank canvas felt like an arena of failure. But through self-inquiry, he realized the fear wasn't out there. It lived within him. And when he finally made peace with that voice, not silencing it, but hearing it, he began to create again. Not for approval, but for truth. These stories remind us, fear isn't just an emotion, it's a mirror. Fear doesn't just speak in your personal language, it speaks in symbols older than words. This is where Jung's concept of the collective unconscious becomes transformative. It's the idea that beneath your personal memories lies a shared human inheritance, a realm of myth, dreams, and instinctive patterns. In this space, fear becomes more than a private experience. It becomes archetypal. Think of the fear of death. It's not simply about dying. It's an ancient econ awareness of our fragility. It's woven into every culture, every era. We build religions, rituals, and stories around it, not because we're weak, but because it's universal. The same goes for the fear of rejection. At its core, it connects to the mother archetype, that primal longing for belonging, for love, for acceptance. When we fear abandonment, we're not just reacting to someone walking away. We're tapping into a deep ancestral memory, the terror of disconnection. Understanding this shifts everything. Your fear isn't a flaw. It's not evidence that you're broken. It's a reflection of the very fabric of being human. And when you begin to see fear not just as yours, but as ours, you open the door to compassion for yourself and for others. Jung believed that the archetype of the hero shows us the path forward. The hero doesn't avoid fear. The hero walks into the darkness, the cave, the underworld, and there where no one else dares to go, the hero doesn't destroy the monster. They become more whole by facing it. The dragon is fear, but it guards the treasure, and the only way out is through. Imagine fear as a cave, dark, silent, untouched. Outside, you hesitate. You don't want to enter. Something primal resists. But Jung believed that within this very cave, this shadowy space, we fear the most lies the treasure we seek, the part of ourselves we've forgotten. Mariana's treasure was self-acceptance. Raphael's was creative freedom. And yours, you won't find it by avoiding the cave. You find it by walking in slowly, consciously, with awareness. That cave is symbolic of all the emotions you suppress, the wounds you hide, the stories you don't tell. But within that darkness live the insights that can transform you. This is why fear matters. Not because it stops you, but because it points you like a compass toward the very areas of your life that are waiting for healing. Think about the fear of abandonment, how it can make people withdraw from connection or cling desperately to others. Jung linked this to the archetype of the wounded lover, a figure who longs for closeness, yet carries scars too painful to expose. But when we begin to trace our fear not to its symptoms, but to its roots, we start to see the pattern. We start to understand ourselves, not as broken, but as unfinished. And that's where transformation begins. Because fear isn't a final sentence, it's a sacred question. It asks, what are you running from? And then, what would happen if you turned around ... and faced it? In this light, fear becomes less of a threat and more of a teacher, one that appears when your soul is ready to grow. So how do we begin? How do we actually work with fear, not conceptually, but in daily life? It begins with a single word: awareness. The next time fear risks spores, don't react. Don't rush to suppress it. Just notice it and ask, what is this fear trying to show me? This simple question cracks open the door to the unconscious. It shifts your focus from fighting the fear to listening. Observe patterns. What situations always seem to provoke fear? Public speaking, intimacy, change. These recurring moments are not random. They're marker signals from your inner world pointing to the same unresolved truths. Then write. Don't filter. Let your fears speak on paper. When you write, you bypass the ego. You allow your unconscious to express itself directly. Jung also emphasized the power of the shadow journal. Ask yourself, what parts of me do I avoid? What emotions do I judge? What truths have I silenced? This isn't easy work. but it's liberating. And pay attention to your dreams. Jung believed that dreams are the voice of the unconscious, undiluted and rich in symbols. If fear appears in your dreams, don't dismiss it, analyze it. Ask, what symbol did I encounter? What feeling did it evoke? Your dreams may be revealing what your waking mind refuses to see. Finally, step toward discomfort. That doesn't mean jumping off cliffs or taking reckless risks. It means daring to approach what you've avoided. Even one small step toward that inner cave is a radical act of courage. Because when you move with fear, not against it, you begin the real journey. The one Jung called individuation. And now, we arrive at the edge of the path. But Jung taught us, every ending is also a beginning. You were never meant to banish fear completely. You were meant to evolve your relationship with it, to stop seeing it as the enemy and start recognizing it as an unexpected ally. Because fear is not just a feeling, it's a signpost, a whisper from the soul, a sacred companion that appears not to stop you but to awaken you. What if the fear you've been running from is the very thing that holds your freedom? When you look at fear through Jung's eyes, it transforms. It's no longer a wall, it's a mirror. It shows you where you're disconnected, where you've hidden your truth, where healing is asking to begin. Take the fear of loneliness. At first it feels like something to escape, but look closer and you'll see a longing for real connection, not just with others, but with yourself. Or the fear of failure. It often reveals how tightly we've tied our worth to external validation, and beneath it lies the deeper invitation to rediscover our inherent value. Fear doesn't come randomly. It arrives at thresholds, at moments of transition. It asks us, are you willing to grow? Are you ready to become more of who you truly are? Individuation, Jung's word for the journey to the authentic self, requires this sacred confrontation. It's not the path of perfection. It's the path of wholeness. And fear, it's the guide. So the next time you feel it rise, don't turn away. Don't numb it. Don't silence it. Turn toward it. Ask, what are you here to teach me? Because within fear lives the part of you that's been waiting to come home. And when you begin to see fear as your compass, your shadow as your teacher, and your discomfort as the door to truth, then your discomfort as the door to truth, that's when transformation begins. That's when life shifts. That's when you stop surviving and start becoming. So if this message stirred something within you, don't let it fade. Subscribe to this channel, turn on the bell so you don't miss what comes next, and share this video with someone who needs this light. Someone standing at the edge of their own cave. There is so much more to uncover in the depths of your psyche, and this is just the beginning. Stay curious, stay courageous. Remember, fear is not here to break you, it's here to make you whole.